Good morning, thriving warriors. Today is Friday, May 12th, 2023. It is 5:55 in the morning, a little bit earlier today. That's because I did not have as far of a walk as I did yesterday, because voila, my office is back in my room here at Rain Man. So I'm temporarily at Rain Man. And back in my old room, room 3. So here we are. It is 5:56 in the morning, May 12th. The temperature is 55 degrees. The 57 degrees now. It keeps going up. The high today will be 91, so it's going to be a warm day. Good morning, Diana, and good morning, Todd. Glad to see you both here. So this is day 2, probably day 2 without Charlene. More on that later, but here we are at Department of Career Services, where our goal is to help you get from point A to point B in your journey from Someday Isle to Successlandia. How do you do that? Well, how do we help you? Well, first of all, through this podcast, this daily podcast, but secondly, from the stuff in the description down below. So this is kind of different because I have a screen that's about this big now versus before it was a screen like that. So I have to get used to it. But so we're here to help you get from point A to point B. We do it through this podcast plus the things down below. Please subscribe, click on the bell, share, thumbs up. You know the thing. Please do all that. Good morning, Jeff. Good morning. Good to see you there. There's about 17 other things down below. Not really going to discuss them right now because they are down below, but they're absolutely worth it to help you build the boat that you're going to sail from Someday Isle to Successlandia. And so Jeff, no Charlene. Well, it was kind of interesting. Yesterday at almost 5, she dropped off the other key to the Kia. So she had a key to the Kia, fob to the Kia. She dropped it off at her employer. So she was in town all day yesterday saying she was going to Arizona because her dad was sick. She would not be in this week, but indicated that she would be back working next week. So it's a mystery. Hopefully we will hear from her. I know a bunch of people have reached out and people are concerned because she was important here, is important here. All right, but moving right along. First, I got to turn off the calendar. The alarm. Should have done that before we started. And there we go. Good. All right. So, get started. Coffee. So I went to Starbucks this morning because we don't have the coffee equipment here that I'm used to. I didn't want to fumble around trying to get the other coffee equipment. So coffee, pencil, paper. I don't have that either. That's still at Rain Man. So Diana's going to be packing that stuff up along with the stuff behind the bar that goes with the coffee machine. So the coffee grinder, the coffee beans, my cups, the espresso machine, the whatever. So we'll talk about that. And I'll be heading out there this morning. Anyway, I'll be there before 9. So let's get started. Next next morsel. You want to get from point A to point B on your journey. Advice from an 80-year-old: choose your life's mate carefully. From this one decision will come 90% of all of your happiness or misery. Okay. Next, write in your book, I'm so happy and grateful now that blank. And then ask your brain the question, what am I so happy and grateful for now? What am I so happy and grateful for now? Okay, moving right along. Today's TED Talk is a Jerry Maguire video. So now we're putting it all together, all the 4 things of how to, the 4 parts of how to get people on your boat, how to crew your boat, how to attract people. You could take the David Logan approach of join a tribe and then nudge it forward, and then use the Seth Godin 4-step formula, the Simon Sinek thing, and lead with David Phillips. You could do that, or you could forget about David Logan and just start with Seth Godin. Telling, find part of the status quo to change. That is, I'm on someday Iowa. I want to get to Successlandia. I know it's out there somewhere. I don't really know where, but I can find where it is. And I got to build a boat, and then I got to get a crew for the boat because I can't get there on my own. So, and then what do I say to the prospective crew to get them on board? So we learned that from Simon Sinek, and of course the starting point with David Phillips of bonding with him, totally not related to anything having to do with Successlandia or the boat or crewing the boat or anything, just bonding. Story about bonding. Okay, good. So that is that. That's the TED Talk. What does Seth Godin have to say today? Seth Godin, what's a techie? A friend's email said, I know many of my readers aren't techies, and you're thinking of putting this newsletter aside. We should get clear about what we're talking about when we say techie. I'm going to argue that involves a combination of 2 things. 1, you give technology the benefit of the doubt. You assume that it's interesting or perhaps benign or even useful. 2, you're interested in what's new. You don't need to be pushed or to ask about the next tech thing. But someone who says, I'm not a techie, might actually be saying, I'm willfully uninformed. They might be saying, I don't give tech the benefit of the doubt, and it's uncomfortable for me to keep up with it. But by giving into those feelings, I'm intentionally falling behind. Some people go for a run even when they don't feel like it, because they realize that keeping fit is part of the deal. Some go to the opera or to a blues club or expose themselves to culture that isn't an easy fit, because they know it makes them more useful, more interesting, or simply more alive. There's a lot of chatter going on outside. Todd, if that's you talking, please go away from here because we can hear you. I think we've long passed the point where an active professional can simply choose to not understand how tech works. You're a user or you're being used. Best to know which. Okay. So everyone should be a techie is the takeaway from that. All right. Well, I was distracted. I couldn't follow it because there was conversations going on outside. Let's see. Jeff, good morning. Diana, I'm so happy and grateful. I have you to lead me, director. Wow. Okay. Thank you. Obviously not sentiments not shared by Charlene. More on that later, some other time, some other podcast. what I would say about that simply is people don't just disappear. Focus on closure, right? Closure. Get closure. Don't, if something's wrong, tell somebody. When you leave, tell somebody, so that all of the rest of us have closure, because people are worried. Moving right along the fable, the flies and the honey. A jar of honey was upset and the sticky sweetness flowed out on the table. The sweet smell of the honey soon brought a large number of flies buzzing around. They did not want to wait for an invitation. No, indeed. They settled right down, feet and all, to gorge themselves. The flies were quickly smeared from head to foot with honey. Their wings stuck together. They could not pull their feet out of the sticky mess, and so they died, giving their lives for the sake of a taste of sweetness. Moral of the story, Aesop's moral: be not greedy, for a little passing pleasure, it may destroy you. Okay, but here's what I say. It's almost always a misunderstanding. The bees didn't understand the nature of the honey, i.e. its stickiness. They focused on the smell. So much time, energy, and resources can be saved by finding out the nature of the thing before acting upon it. And I think that goes for our situation right now with Charlene. Is there some kind of misunderstanding? We don't understand what's going on. And I gotta believe, based upon the facts that are coming out, that there was something that she felt which was not accurate, but she didn't ask anybody. That's my belief. Prayer. Peace and justice. Lord, lead us from death to life, from falsehood to faith, to truth. Okay, cut. Start over. Peace and justice. Lord, lead us from death to life, from falsehood to truth. Lead us from despair to hope, from fear to trust. Let peace fill our hearts, our world, and our universe. Let us dream together, pray together, and work together to build one world of peace and justice for all. Amen. All right, that was pretty good. Another good one. So let's see, where are we? 13, 14 in. Before, Diana, you do your thing, let's just talk about the boat for a second. Diana rushed it. Talk about the boat for a second. So the metaphor that we use here is of building a boat to go from Someday Isle to Successlandia. You can have people help you build the boat, but you got to build a boat to cross the predictably unpredictable, often dangerous ocean or sea. It's a long, long, long ways, like a long journey. Could be your whole life. Who knows? So you have to build a boat. And we're here to help you build the boat, starting with focused on sails, rudder, below deck, and the hull of the ship. And they all kind of have to fit in the right size. The sails can't be too big or too small. The rudder can't be too big or too small. The below deck can't be too big or too small. Everything has to be Goldilocks conditions. And the hull has to be the same thing. It has to be not too big for the number of crew, not too small for the number of crew, etc. And how much time you want to invest in building the thing. So that's the things about a boat. And you can focus on how important the sails are. What happens if the sails get a tear, get a little bit of damage, and you don't replace it, it's going to get worse. And if it gets too bad and you lose the sail, it's going to be very hard to continue to continue navigating towards Success Landia. Same thing with the rudder. What is the purpose of the rudder? To be able to navigate so you're not dependent just upon the wind and the current. So if the rudder breaks, now you're rudderless, you're now dependent upon the wind and the current, and that will almost always take you to a place you absolutely don't want to go, like crashed upon the rocks or a sand bed or something like that. A sand or a reef, sandbar, reef, but if something bad. The below deck is where you go for safety from the elements and to eat. So you have your food, you have your beds, it's dry, it's warm, etc., etc. So you don't have to stay on the deck for the whole journey. And the hull of the ship is what will keep you safe. Everything can go bad. If the hull is intact, you can drift, hopefully hoping someone will find you and rescue you. But if the hull is breached, water will come in, the ship will likely capsize, or you'll have to spend your whole time bailing water, and you won't make a lot of forward progress, and you'll run out of time and energy. So those 4 parts of the ship match with the 4 parts of our program, our transformational program, which is physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. And the most important part is the whole. The most important part is the spiritual part, that which picks you up when you get knocked down, and you will get knocked down. More importantly than that, or more specifically than that, ours is a Christian-based approach. Why? Because Jesus is the Messiah. Number 2, if you don't believe Jesus is the Messiah, at least you should learn how Christians think, because we do live in a Christian world. Most of the people in the world are not Christians. Maybe 1 out of 6 people, 1 out of 7 people are Christians. It's just that most of the economic wealth is in the Christian countries. So that's it for the boat, our program. And Diana has already put up there, yesterday was the only easy day. So this is kind of one of the final 2 morsels to pull out, easy to get, eat, digest, a little bit of energy to help on the journey. Yesterday was the only easy day. Act such that yesterday was the only easy day. And Diana did the second one too. Good, Diana. So the last morsel, feel a sneeze coming on. See how I did that? Achoo. Last morsel. When is the journey over? The journey is over when you stop breathing, when your heart stops. If you're still here, God has a purpose for you. You still have things to do. And so with that, oh boy, 18 minutes. This was a long one. I thought it was going to be short. And Diana says, and cut from Charlene.